This tape has been made up from techniques that I used personally in competition and free fighting, or that I helped other people to use in their career. One of the biggest problems I feel at the moment with modern karate is that people want everything too quick. For example, some of the techniques that I've shown today have been techniques I've been working on for years and years and years. And it's no good trying them 3 times and then thinking to yourself, it doesn't seem to work. Each one of them should take 3 to 4 months training before you start to use it, and then you should use it first in free fighting and see if it works. Then put it into competition. But it's very important that they're not just going to work straight away. There's a lot goes into the reaction of your opponent, the right time, and the right position to use them. When you learn one of the combinations, don't just think, right, hajime, you begin and you try this combination. It must be used at the right time and the right situation. Okay, it's important as well in this tape, instead of just like flying off a few combinations, I've broke them down, done quite a bit of talking in them, and tried to get into the mechanics of the technique. A lot of people seem to think the punch comes from the side of the hip and ends up on your opponent's stomach or chest, but it's very important to really feel through and feel the technique. Even when you're making competition, you should feel that if you really wanted to let that technique go harder, you could have done, instead of just stopping it at scoring a point. So remember, some of them will come easy to you, and some of them will seem difficult. If some feel difficult and you feel a bit off balance, then they're the ones that are self-challenging to you. And there, it's very important not to say, this doesn't suit me. It's to work and work and work and have something to work on. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I wish you every success in your karate and your competition career. Okay, first we'd just like to start with one of the first basic techniques is just a double punch to the face and to the stomach. Good for beginners to use at the beginning and still use right up to a world championship level. Just a couple of points I want to explain is the front hand. Attack with it and don't pull it back. Many people are inclined to pull it back too soon, making a 50-50 situation. It's very important that when you attack with that hand, keep it out as long as possible. So you're blocking your opponent's view, like using it as a block. Once more coming in, push it right into the face. You can leave the arm out, good hip. You can bend the knee, bend the front knee, go up on the ball of the foot, push in, so you can push out. It's most important not to go too high with it. The opponent can come right underneath. Working quickly, just go straight in and out. If you find yourself a bit farther out, you can use the same technique, just with a small step up. Coming forward, at all time keeping the technique in front of your body, to the face, and punching, reverse punch. Coming one, push and out. Coming out very quickly, especially in competition. to come out so the referee sees a clear point and can stop the fight. If you find you're stuck in close, many people seem to fight too far away. Keep in close. This is the danger zone. This is where your reaction will take off automatically. Mesh your opponent up with your front hand. Coming down, then quickly up, leaving the target here. Again, it's important not to punch too high, opponent coming underneath. All the time, one, to the face. So if your opponent's coming in with Gyakuzuki, stop straight away. So you can work in with a punch. 1, 2, punch and come out. Right, now going over the technical side, which is very important, it's not just the punch from here to there. In local competitions, when you start off a lower grade, you get away with quite a lot of the punch hitting your opponent. But once you're going European and world level, the referees are looking for the good kime, good stance, good use of the hip, can make the difference whether you get a point, whether it's wazari, or whether you can make ippon. Now, it's very important on going forward, where the force must be going forward. You must push your hip. You can bend the knee, go on the ball of the foot, but push your weight forward. Just as if you would be pushing a car, maybe up a slides hill. You'd push this way to get full force. On the heel being on the floor, this is correct basic for standing position, would be like the force coming forward to stop. Here. Like if someone said to you, the car's rolling back, hold it. This is the way to hold it. If now you must push the car, then you would bend and push forward. It's very important to understand about using the hip. Pushing forward with the hip, making full force. So with the punch, hip comes in, one, and you pull out to come away from your opponent. Now, many of the faults, if I go through the faults, for example, one fault is to bend this knee, and the opponent pushes this hip, but turns the other hip back, making the balance go off. So this knee is back, it's not over the foot. It should be here, and is now back here. So on the impact now, there's no force. You're inclined to go over to the side if your opponent moves forward. The referee looking, it's not a good kime, so it's not good for a full point. The other one is people using this bent knee and foot up as the opponent comes forward. And that's when you see people punch like this, the opponent keeps pushing, and they wind up on the floor. You must think at all times, if I use the expression of pushing the car again, you've got to push the car up a slight hill. Bend the knee, bend this knee, put all your weight forward and push. If someone says try and hold the car there, stop it running back, then you will go back on your heel, lock in your back leg so you can hold it there. As soon as you move forward again, then you would push. It's exactly the same with punching. You go forward with a punch, knee bend, technique goes forward, right in. Opponent comes forward towards you, not yet, once more. You must push the heel down, lock the back leg. As the opponent walks in, bam, stop them there. Full force, knee right bend. Stop the opponent moving forward. That's very important for the technique as you get higher grades. Okay, the double punch doesn't necessarily have to be Jodan and Chudan. Especially for a taller fighter, if fighting someone smaller, it's just as good with the same attack, but going to the face. But of course, you must have more control. But working on the same thing, the double as quick as possible. One's out, in, and back with a double punch. Being close, fighting close, again, I think there should be more of fighting close. A lot of it's gone a bit too much, like too much dancing around. And what I think is people attack, the other one blocks, and they jump away, then they come back, they attack, the other one blocks, they jump away. But it's better to keep close, and then you've got to be in there and have a fight. And your opponent's got to react more to you now. So as soon as you attack, working on this, think of coming in Gyakuzuki, look to the body. So as soon as the hand goes up, change completely, Yurakan and back. It's very important just to look down a bit, and when you punch, just arm back, keeping away from the Gyakuzuki, not putting yourself right in. And as soon as you sit the hand down, and you know you're quick enough to go with that twist, with a reach, so you can pull out. No gap at all. It's no good going 1 and 2. It must be like as if his arm's red hot. So if it touches, you're going to burn yourself. So it must come reaction back. You must feel that it's coming here. 1, as quickly as possible, but then quickly out. And if you feel you can't get out and you've got to stay in there, then it's just follow back 1, 2, block in. 1, 2, 3 with the treble. Now, with the treble, this can get a point. But when you're working left to left, as you come in with that next punch, there's a possibility of both punching at the same time. So the treble is best used if you change stance against someone in opposite stance. So then, keeping your line right, so when you come off to the side, you're in line for your punch, and your opponent's offline. For Simon to attack me now, he must punch across his body, which is giving him a weak punch and me a strong punch. So it's very important. Never attack inside, because now I'm on the foot of strong, my punch is off, and also I can get swept. So it's very important. And one point with the treble, a lot of people seem to think that you must start from right back here and make this great big distance. With the treble, just think like moving very quickly, 1, 2. Just very quickly moving in and quickly 1 and in. Just measure your punch, 1, 2, and punch in. Think, just push, 1, just up slightly, here, not up slightly, 3. Watch again, 1, 2, 3. And hands must work very quickly, 1, 2, 3. Begin here. The faster the hands move, and the feet must all work together. So the faster you move your hands, the quicker you must move your feet. So once again, thinking, down, up, and punch. It's very important that if you're making a feint before your attack, which you want to score a point with, it must be very explosive. And it mustn't be half-hearted, that your opponent can think of just blocking and countering straight away. So when you're making your feint, it must be like, you must have fear that if they don't block and move off it, it's going to hit them, which gives you the time to follow through. But if you're going to leave it back, it's no good. So remember, you must have full explosion in the technique. Right, now we're going to work a bit on the legs for kick-in, and again we're going to bring it down a bit. It seems that especially a lot of the younger people now, they're supple when they come into karate, and straight away they want to kick to the head. And many times they're missing good targets to the body. In fact, you can ask someone to kick to the stomach once they can kick, and they have more problem kicking to the stomach than kicking higher. It's more difficult because you've got to make more target. So a lot of kicks that used to be used have gone now is that front leg. And a lot of it is because people are swinging the kicks instead of driving them with the hip. So it's working with your opponent and pushing that front leg in, like lifting it and dragging the back leg or stepping up. Just drag, but the force has got to come from the hip or driving the kick in. And you can make a strong kick to the stomach just off the front leg, good enough for a point. Or coming off to the side, moving off to the side, lifting the leg, lifting the leg up and coming in. Or if you've thrown a couple of kicks to the face and your opponent's hands are high, you can make feints on this, but if you see the opening there, the hands are high, with full speed, you can get in, twist the hip right round, just kick round the back. Without lifting it so much, make the hip drive and turn this correct line, which I will go into after, is turn the hip right round and out. It's very important on this. Many people don't twist the foot. They only half turn the hip, and on the kick, they have a line ready for the punch here. It's important that on the finish of the kick, you should be out of distance, that if my opponent punched out, there's the gap, but there's the kick. So it's very important. Twist right around one, so you can get out after. Kicking off the back leg, in the opposite stance, many people get counter-punched. When they lift that leg and they square, as soon as they square right onto the opponent and get counter-punched. So move off to the side without so much of a lift. I'll show this from a different angle in a moment. Moving off, drag the leg and kick into the stomach. One, here, drag and kick into the stomach and off. So now I'll show some of these at a different angle so you can see the hip movement and the line movement. So now from this position, remember, lift and dig in. You only have one chance at a target. If your opponent's hand is there, it's very important. You must be on target, and you must be able to be on target without looking. This is where the basics come into very important. You have one chance, kick, and the point in. A point, if you notice, I'm kicking there, and not round the side. The reason being that if the kick was at the side, and my opponent started to do gyagozuki, the hip then turns, the kick goes round, and the punch gets counter. So you must drive the kick in more to the center, so as my opponent punches, it still drives in. So to dig there. Okay, that's one. Second one is that step to the side. Stepping off, away from the front hand, here, and coming at a more wide angle here. One, then lift, and kick. Here. Kicking round the back, it's important, correct line. This is no good. The foot should be near enough here. Now, you can't expect to stand with your opponent, so it must be on the bounce. When you land, working with your opponent, land, then from here, drive the kick right round. This should be the foot, your line. So if my opponent's punching, straight line, he must punch across his body, which if you work on the kick and the punch, you can always sweep and punch if you're landing forward. Or if you're going for the direct kick, kick and pull back. This is best. Kick and pull back. But if you do go forward, one, think of the drop in by the foot, body back. No good like this. Body back, punch in. Already the balance is there without the sweep. It's important on the first kick. It's not so much using this part of the foot. Instead, it's more using this part, like the knuckle part, pulling it back, like making a fist out of it. And you want to drive that part round, but then it must come into the body. So if you think, like when you lift it, instead of coming right out, lift here and kick and push in. So if my opponent does punch Gago's a kick, it drives forward, so it drives in like that. So it's a strong right into the solar plexus. Now, you must remember kicking off that back leg. As soon as this part of the body comes forward, your opponent can counter punch. So you're going straight onto the punch. Better move to the side. Don't lift. So your shoulder hasn't moved yet. It's still back. There's no warning of your kick coming forward. So move off to the side and don't lift. Just let it drag more, and then from the knee, whop the kick in. Move one, kick there, and pass. It's good for a real definite point. Chisa! Chisa! Isa! 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 All right, that's just like a short, sharp, good combination that can be used in the front kick. If you're comfortable enough with your front kick, you can go straight in and out. But sometimes it's always good to take your opponent's hand out the way, just like we've done with a double punch. Now we're getting this fairly close to your opponent, and lift the elbow high with the huracan. So when your opponent's blocking, you need the arm to come right across the face as we show you at a different angle. This takes the block across, gives you a nice open target, and also takes his reverse punch shoulder farther back, which would take longer if he started to punch towards you. So watch once more. Don't just bring it from here. Make it explosive. Make it feel that you're trying to hit him with the huracan. Lift and kick. Huracan just slightly before the kick. 1, 2, and back. Right, now show you it from a different angle. Right, now from this angle, watch again, arm comes up to block. You're taking a block right across his face, taking his punching hand back, then you've got a straight line for the kick. Strong kick, by the time he's punching, you're already back. Up, out, kick, and back. Isa! And back. When you've scored a good point, it's important to come back with good ki, so the referee stops straight away. Many people kick, fall forward, the trading starts, he punches, and it gets yame, yame, and they say no point. So if you're going to make a good point, hit and come out. Okay, now for one of my favorite techniques, which has been one of the favorites in the squad as well, just throwing this gyaku, and as soon as the opponent's blocking, one, and then up with a kick, taking the mawashi. Again, it came from where I was working on this 1 and 2. Doing exactly the same, but putting the hips 1, and you don't really want the opponent to touch the hand. But it can't be short, it must be out. So as he touches, back it comes, and up comes the leg. 2. Slowly, 1, 2. Hand here, all the time, thinking it's blocking the vision, here, then up with the kick. Again, it mustn't touch. As soon as the opponent touches, he automatically thinks counter punch. So you've got to make your punch explosive going in, but you must try that as he blocks, pull back. And the faster you pull back, the faster it will make you step, and then, of course, as fast as you execute the kick. The slower you punch, the slower you pull back, the slower you will step. So the whole combination slows down. So think very quickly up here. Then you don't want 1, 2, 3. It must be like 1, 2, then up with a kick. And of course, good control to the head if you're in competition. Same like explained on the maigiri. After you've done the technique, come away. So thinking 1, 2, yes! Back so there's a clear stop. The referee sees the point, and there's no kick, punch, 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 kick. Yame. One referee saw the kick, one judge and arbitrator saw the punch, and you've got this argument. Right, now this combination, you can play around with it a lot. If you're working with your partner, dream that you're in a competition. For example, let's go through it this way. You're working them first, 1, there you get your wazari. Your opponent now is thinking, I must block his punch. So out you come, wazari, mawashi. Now you have ippon, wazari. Now he's thinking, I must block his punch and kick. So he's thinking 1, up. So now you've got wazari, ippon, wazari again. And it can be played around. Instead of punch, kick, punch, you can start off with a kick. Kick, punch, then kick as you're coming out. This is important, this leaning out. If you've come in, 1, 2. As you come out, your opponent watches you go away. So his defense laps, but you leave your leg behind and push that kick up, and you can nick a lovely point on the way out. Watch again, coming in, 2, lean right out, lift that leg up, kick, and out you come. Watch once more, just get your build up, like, Isa! Coming in 1, Isa! Think 1, then up, then down, Isa! Coming out, oh, kick, punch, lean out, Isa! Coming away. So there you go, with things like this you can work with your partner, but make it explosive. Don't just sort of do it 1, 1. You've got to build up this fast reaction, like pulling the hand back quickly, bringing the foot up quickly. And then that's the way you would do it on the competition area. Although we're cutting out the techniques for a little bit more advanced, say for a higher level, where maybe the opponent is a bit quicker. Now you've got to beat his speed. Now by going through the same combination, maybe he'll block and punch too quick. So you've got to mess him up a bit more. So with the same combination, but very important on the hip now, is not actually finishing the punch, just half. Then quickly twisting the body, twisting the hip up. So he's thinking the kick's coming. If he was going to punch, it would hit the leg anyway. And then you want his hand to go down, up. There's your target for the reverse punch. For example, going 1, 2, then you know by coming back if it's safe to go in or stay out. So we do it quickly. Just think hips and shoulder movement of 1, 2, then huzzah! In. 1, 2, yes! Coming out. Or lower grade, you can even stick to just the first one, the hook and stab. Is using the instep of the foot, This part, not this part, only this part. So use the instep like a kick. 1. Most important thing is the body keeping back. So that if, when I went in for my first part, my opponent decided to punch, I can block, move away, think next plan. Another angle is first just the hook and stab, we're calling it. Hook and stab, like sweep and punch. But again, making sure that the first sweep becomes like a roundhouse kick, really, back. So if my opponent decides to punch, distance is out. If there's no reaction, 1, as I come in, this is the danger. So very slight, not too big, very slight. 1, just push it this way. Hold it strong. Don't push it out. Watch this shoulder. So already it's like triggering off for the reverse punch. So you want to pull it this way. So you go in. Looking 1, 2. Here. 1. Clean. 1. Now remember, in Wilco, World Championship, if you just kick the leg without carrying on, they will stop and give you a warning. So it's very important. It must go quickly on. Higher grade now. Don't be happy with the Gyaku, maybe Wazari, but you want Ippon. So you're carrying on. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the kick. Again, like so, is to block the vision. Competition, you should really have your fist close. It's very important on the hip work. 1, 2. One, 2. Now hip turn and foot up. 1 here. Then again, make out you're going back. Up with the kick and dance. Watch carefully. Pivot on the hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. Explosion. Okay, it's very important that you use your hips. Hips are the most important part in your karate, in your punching, blocking, and kicking. And a lot of people inclined to do it from the stomach up. The kick, block, and it's too rigid. Think of knees bend. Going in low, hip turn this way, then hip turn in with the punch. Now, with the explosion of the punch and kick, you want this pivot. So you want your hip to come up with the punch and up with the kick. Now you've seen the hip work. Now watch we do it again with Steve, and watch the explosion. We're doing it slowly, but the movement of 1, down. Now this way it must come up. So you push right up. So it's up, 1, and up with a kick. So you control the kick for competition, but you must be a Jekyll and Hyde in karate. You should have the force of the kick to make one finished technique. We're going to work on the same combination, but for someone in the opposite stance, and using more like nagashi, body with the hip moving out. But going back on what I just said now about this Jekyll and Hyde, it's very important. You must understand, just scoring a point in competition or being a competition champion doesn't mean to say you're a good karate man or woman. It's very important that you must have the basics back in. The control is done by you and not by a weak technique. Then this can come out to the referees, to the judges, and to the audience. If they can see that you controlled that technique, and it's worthy of a great point for competition. But if you didn't want to control it, you could have used it to knock the person out. There is no controlling basics, there's no controlling in kata as far as physical strength. So it's very important that you keep this in your mind. Not just flick the technique, but feel the technique all through your body. But now we work on the technique of the opponent being in the opposite stance. Again, coming down, you can leave it with just the sweep and punch. Again, exactly the same. 1, 2. Working here. Then coming away from your opponent now with the hip movement, turning the hip, so you're coming off line, then lifting, kicking, and finishing completely off. Right, now from this angle, we show it again. Keeping your guard up all the time. There's the hook, punch. Again, bringing the punch from your back foot, coming up, 1. So you're offline completely now. Body tuck, mawashi, and come out. Now, with the leaning back, some people say your body must be up, right, for the kick. It's all different variations. As long as the force is in the power, you're throwing your force this way, you're going to get a strong kick. Build up the explosion. Here, 1. Coming out. Once more. Pisa! More. Diesha! Okay. Okay, so now we come to pad work. These pads, I've owned these for some 20 years now, and as you can see, they're getting worn. They've been hit by some of the most famous people in Great Britain and England, and people I've worked with in the karate and the squad. But it's very important. I see a lot of people using pads now, and they don't use them correctly. For example, I see someone holding them like this or like that for maybe a chew-down punch and a face kick. And if you look at the line of the body, it's completely wrong. It means the person is sort of standing with you've got to be with their head forward like this. It's very important to get the correct position, how they would attack your body. This is not good. It must be here. You must be ready to move with the kick, not holding it against the face. Also, a lot is wrong on a chew-down. People hold it for the punch, and you see them holding it with the pad forward. It's very important. You've got to get that wrist right back and get it behind the body so that it can come in straight. Like this, you're doing more damage to the person you're working with. If you're working, for example, I work with Steve on this. Say, for example, if I want him to punch you, then I've got to give him a straight target so he can come into the pad. If I'm off like that, I'm going to injure his wrist, or I'm going to wind up getting hit myself. So it's very important keeping the wrist right back or chew down. If I want him to do chew down mawashi, it's got to be up here. Chew down punch and mawashi. 1, 2. There. It's no good having the pad there. So I'm putting him completely in the wrong balance and the wrong feeling for the combination. It's also important sometimes, for example, people work into the head and they say double punch to the face. And I've never seen anyone with a head this big. You know, it's important to get them close so that they're coming in like here. 1. So they're getting a target so it narrows in. Also double kicks to the head. Again, I see people like this for 2 roundhouse kicks. Like 1 that side. Again, I haven't seen anyone with a head this big. It must be in like that. Now, there's 2 ways of working with a pad, more for good traditional karate and training. So, for example, again, we do the punch to the body and the kick to the face hard. That's 1, and that's it. So it's a good kick. Then we've got to think of competition, where, again, now we can hit hard to the body, but it must be controlled. So this is only a target. It doesn't mean to say you can kick it as hard as possible. So now we think competition, 1, and that's it. So it's just skin touch. Once more. And it's important to watch from behind, the kick coming over the shoulder. 1, compared with the hard kick. That's it. So it's very important to know what you're working at with the pads, whether you're working for competition or whether you're working for full force. Okay, now, concerning front kick, sometimes people hold the pad. It's better to work your opponent on front kick where they're kicking with their instep straight. It gives the idea the kick coming up is a better way than trying to... Remember, you've got a loose arm and sometimes you can damage your opponent's toes. It's better to work on front kick like so, okay? Round the back, working round the back. If we come round this way, see? The 2 pads on the target there. More here. And a lot of the time on working the pads is to bring in, as the person attacks, to bring in the next movement straight away. So it's like kick and punch. So you make them react to your movement. So the person who's holding the pads can work hard as well. Again, with using the front hand, I see a lot of people training for competition, and they're hitting the pad too hard. I'm watching people training like this. This is no good for competition. Again, it's good for traditional, but you must be going back on the jackal and hide. First minute, you must be able to do this 1, bang, and then you must be able to nick a point. Nick a point, just skin touch. All right? Same with the kicks, double kick, 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, now whack it. Whack it. That's a good whack. All right? That's the Jekyll and Hyde. And that's what you need to have both. It's no good just having one for me, whether you can only kick hard or whether you can only kick soft. It's very important. You must be able to turn on and off for which one is important in that situation. So remember that the competition is the sports side, which you must have your control and the skin touch, and without forgetting that the traditional side is for full impact for an attack situation. Okay, as going on with pad work now, just like we've done the techniques earlier in pairs, now we put set movements into pad work. So Simon and Steve are going to just go through some of the combinations that we've done earlier. First starting off with the Gyakuzuki, then with the Gyakuzuki Huracan, and then the treble. Okay, it's important if we go through it again slowly, keeping it right on. It's just first one, then the two. Remember the Gyakuzuki is a feint on that one, and the Gyakuzuki, the first Gyaku is a feint on that one. Okay, quickly. That's it, all right? And then going into the using, first again, Gyaku direct, one. Then bringing that front leg up, okay? Then adding the Gyaku, coming in with the three. We do it slowly. One. All the time, it's important. The other person is like coaching at the same time. If your hands are out, if the, for example, the hands are going out on the kick, then he must remind him. Or sometimes, if you just punch and lean forward a bit, Steve, it's like leaning a bit, then it's good just to push a little bit and say, keep your head back and things like that. So it's very important. This one's the coach, this one's the worker, then you change sides. This one's the coach, and this one's the worker. Now, okay, all right, thank you. Now we're going to do a bit of, then come on to freestyle, which is, makes your heart twice as big as it used to be. This is one many people remember on the squad. Now this is very important on more reaction. You've done the one that's pre-arranged, and now it's important if you're taking someone like this, you've got to react quickly with your opponent. You've got to say definite things for him to do, and not just put the pad, that he's got to guess where it's going. So if we'd like to just run through a bit with Steve. Okay, and it's important moving as you would in the five, and Gyaku, and Gyaku. Now it's important to say it and put the pad straight away, Gyaku, and not sort of going, Gyaku, like this. It's very important, keep him working. So when he sees that, Gyaku, ay Gyakmawash, ay Gyakmawash. And if you're working and getting into it yourself, rather than standing on that, like Gyakmawash already, is to get your speed going as well, that you're trying to beat his kick. For example, watch this hand on there, ay Gyakmawash. So you've got to go up as if you're doing the block. Okay, change. Ay Gyak, ay Gyak, ay Gyak Urmawash. One, ay once more, and one, and once more, Gyak. Then come back with Gyak. 1, 2, 3, and faster, faster. 1, 2, 3, and faster once more. 1, 2, 3, and change. A double kick. And again, double kick. And again, double kick. And Chudan Jordan. And again, Chudan Jordan. And follow back with a punch. And punch. And once more. Quick. More faster. And quick. And push and punch. Gyaku, Gyaku, Gyaku. Double punch. A double punch. Double punch. A front leg followed by back leg. One and up. One and again. Faster. One and faster. Follow with Gyaku. Okay. Now you must remember that when I say this is most important, this is the final. This is like the icing on the cake to your training when you're training for competition. But beware now. Like what's happening with some people, they're only working pads. Pads, 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 pads. And then you must be careful because what you've got is an who hasn't got defense. Because all your work is going outwards. It's very important to think this is good for stamina, but you must always work on your opponent coming at you. So you've got your attack and you've got your counter. Because otherwise, all your training will only be outward. If you've enjoyed these techniques, there's many more we can show you. So you're always welcome. Every year I hold a summer course in Seawick Holiday Lido at Clacton in June. You'll all be welcome to come and train with us.